I would like to talk about some teams, some players, and etc. So to start on New Year's Day, we got to see the Golden State Warriors beat the Charlotte Hornets. This game actually started while we were streaming, so that was kind of fun. Shout out Brandon Podziemski, though. He's continuing to get that trade value up right before February trade deadline comes. Very interested to see if Brandon Podziemski is a member of the Golden State Warriors after the deadline, because I know that they originally said no to that Larry Markkinen deal because they wanted Podziemski. I'm guessing if the Warriors could go back, they would do that trade for Larry Markkinen now. But interested to see how much longer Brandon Podziemski has on the Golden State Warriors. As for the Charlotte Hornets, though, I do want to say, since that they've been healthier, quote unquote. Now I know that they don't have Miles Bridges, they don't really have Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's been their starting center, but since their main three guys, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, and Brandon Miller, have gotten healthy, they really do feel like they should be a team that is on the up. They're 11-22, so they're still a bunch of games below 500. Not saying that they're going to be competitive this year, maybe for a play-in spot later in the season, but those three guys, Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, and Con Knipple, are great building blocks, in my opinion, to a rebuild. Now, they have no one off the bench that you trust at all. Tajon Salon has not been a good draft pick. PJ Hall, Josh Green, Sion James, Liam McNeely. These are guys that you just don't really trust right now. Look at Trae Mann getting coach's decision DMPs. They don't have a starting center right now either. Musa Diabate is like 5'8". Oh, sorry, not 5 foot. I was gonna say 6 foot 8, but I guess they have him listed at 6'10". I promise you, he's smaller than that. He just plays bigger. That team really needs to find their starting center. I'd love to see them make an Anthony Davis trade. And I know that sounds weird, but I'd love to see them be buyers and say that we're gonna, build around LaMelo, build around those guys, and continue on. One player I do want to give a little bit of credit to, because we really bashed him to start the year, but he's been really good since coming back from injury. Paolo Banchero is starting to really find his role again on this Orlando Magic team. In his past couple games, 29-10. Again, that against that game in Toronto, mind you, they did lose by 1 because of Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, but he dropped a 23.15 rebound, 10 assist, triple-double. He had a 21-12-7 game, a 26-16-10 game. He has had a couple duds in there as well. I'm not saying he's been perfect, but a lot of people had him as sneaky MVP value this year, and now we're talking about Paolo as not even a top 30 scorer in the NBA this season. I will say he really needs to hang his hat on the defensive side of the ball and the rebounding. Bless you, thank you. He needs to be a rebounding machine, because with this Orlando Magic team, if I look at their starting lineup, specifically say against this game against the Pacers, look at this. Wendell Carter is barely giving you any productivity on offense. 11 rebounds, very little offensive rebounds. He's not really a crash the glass kind of guy. I'd love to see this Orlando Magic team find a better rebounding guy, and I think it could start with Paolo being that first and foremost guy to go get rebounds. As for the Pacers, I would very interested to see if Benedict Mathurin sticks around, because he's one of those guys that I think is going to really need to get paid in a couple of years. And I'm interested to see if they try and move on from him while they're having this down year. What they do with some of their, future/win now assets, and are the Pacers going to make any big moves come trade deadline, knowing that they're not competing this year? Another name that I really want to talk about and give credit to is Scotty Barnes. We talked about him a lot last night. I know that they lost this game to Denver, which was a bad loss for them because Denver, no Jokic. Jonas Valanciunas had a good game, but then did go down with injury, so now it looks like it's going to be Day'Ron Holmes running majority of the center play. What up, K? Cool, welcome to the stream. I saw you bought a bunch of spots in the group breaks. Greatly appreciate you. If you want any more group break spots, definitely let me know. We can make a deal happen. But man, this Toronto Raptors team has definitely one all-star, and that is Scotty Barnes himself. 20 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists. These are kind of the stat lines I've been wanting to see out of Paolo Banchero this year, but we're getting him out of Scotty. And he's got the shot creators around him now. Brandon Ingram, great shot creator. RJ Barrett, shot creator. Emmanuel Quickley, shot creator. I mean, these are guys that want the ball in their hands. They want to be the playmakers. So to see a guy like Scotty Barnes be that all-you-can-do forward is, I think, the perfect role for a team like Toronto, and that's why they're thriving as much as they are. Now, for Denver, I am a little bit worried with not only Jokic going down for the next 4 weeks, but now Jonas Valanciunas with a calf injury is out at least 4 weeks. That is scary sight if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, not having either of your two starting centers. They have to rely now on Day'Ron Holmes to be their starting center for the future. The next player I do want to talk about, now Atlanta won this game pretty heavily with lack of offense outside of Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves, if you can see the stat. But since Trae Young has come back, this team has not looked great on either side of the ball. Trae Young's been in and out of the lineup again because of this quad contusion, injury. He's only averaging 19 points and 9 assists on very low efficiency this season. 41% from the field, 30% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. It is his lowest scoring output since his rookie year, where he took more shots, actually, funny enough, than he is this season. Only attempting 13.5 shots right now per game, 5.9 of them being threes. But the Atlanta Hawks have looked much better as a defensive team when Trae Young has not been there. Trae Young is going to be a hot commodity name if his name does get really brought up into trade discussions. There's a lot of teams that I think would be interested. For example, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who beat them, have been looking for point guard play next to Anthony Edwards for a while. I could see a team like the Washington Wizards wanting to accelerate their rebuild by getting a guy like Trae Young to build around. Maybe even a team like Sacramento, who's been asking for a point guard recently. Maybe they want to make a win-now move for Trae Young. But I'm very interested to see how the rest of his career goes, because I feel like we're getting to the point now with Trae Young where we know what he is. He's a smaller guard who doesn't play a lot of defense, and if his off-ball ability is not going to be there, he has to be the main engine of your offense. We saw what that happened in Atlanta. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals all because Ben Simmons didn't want to dunk one ball, and outside of that, they really haven't had much success around Trae Young being their number one guy. And right now, they're the number one team for Anthony Davis right now, because Jalen Johnson has just been an MVP level player this season. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been the steal pickup of the offseason. Dyson Daniels is right back to where he was last year as the best defensive guard basically in the NBA. Who knows what's going to happen with that Risachet, if he's going to get traded in the Anthony Davis trade or if he's going to be moved at all. I will say I like that Anthony Davis move for both teams if they trade Porzingis in the deal back to Dallas as well. I think Porzingis would have to be in that deal because right now, him coming off the bench and giving you 17 minutes and being hurt all the time is not great. Timbo, welcome in. Foreman Family Cards, welcome in. KA1 Mark Radon, Gardog, welcome into stream, guys. Happy 2026, Happy New Year. But overall, I want to talk a little bit about Trae Young going into next season, or the trade deadline time, because I just don't really know what I'm expecting out of a Trae Young trade, what the assets are going to look like, if it's going to be a draft picks, primarily draft picks trade, what's going to end up happening with him. I really, really don't know. But overall, he's going to be a hot name on the trade deadline, and I'm very interested to see if a team maybe like Houston wants to buy into a big point guard, something like that. I do have to talk about, last but not least, while I do my basketball analysis to start the morning, I have to talk about the Clippers, because the Clippers are now on a 6-game win streak, and I believe through this win streak, Kawhi Leonard is averaging over 40 points per game throughout this win streak. If I go to his game log as of recently, look at this, 45, 33, 55, 28, 41, 32 over his last 6 games on, look at this efficiency, 70%, 65, 58, 55%. He's shooting over 50% from 3 on some of these games. Kawhi Leonard is a superstar. Let's not get this twisted, guys. When he is on the court playing basketball, he's efficient. He's all around almost a perfect basketball player. There's almost nothing you can say about him. He is the best free throw shooter in the NBA right now. He's still one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. He's averaging 29 points per game. There has to be a team that is watching what Kawhi Leonard is doing on this really bad LA Clippers team. Now, mind you, the Clippers are only 9 games below 500 now. I know that sounds crazy for where they were. They're only 9 games below 500. This team could very easily make a play-in push in the second half of the year. But I would love to see a guy like Kawhi Leonard go to the Detroit Pistons, go to the Miami Heat, go to the Boston Celtics. Go somewhere where he's going to be competing for a real championship. I think his talent's going to be wasted just because he's in the Western Conference. If I look at the Western Conference standings right now, the Clippers are 1.5 games behind the play-in tournament, but they're behind teams like Portland, who I expect to continue playing well. Memphis, who's been on a hot streak as of recent. The Warriors are 2 games above 500. The Phoenix is 5 games above 500. It's going to be tough for them to catch some of these Western Conference teams. I really want to see Kawhi get moved to one of those teams in the East. Say Cleveland makes a big move, a Darius Garland or a Jarrett Allen swap. Miami makes a big splash move to get their forward to build, this championship push around. I could even see, I wish he could go back to Toronto, right? Boston making a move. Detroit feels like the perfect spot. I think that there is going to be teams that would be interested in Kawhi, and I hope he does not finish this season as a Clipper and finish as a play-in, have to work his way to the playoffs just to get, swept by the Thunder or the Spurs. I would be shocked to see that happen. I would hope that Kawhi gets moved because he's playing too good basketball for a team not to say we could give up a couple of first-round picks to make a championship push this season. Especially if you're in the Eastern Conference that is continuing to show how wide open it is. I mean, just the other night, the Miami Heat went into Detroit and won. Even with Detroit having a nice fourth quarter 7-point comeback, the Heat won this game because Norman Powell is a definite all-star in the Eastern Conference. Shout out to Norman Powell. I do have to do my NBA all-star voting. I've been doing it every single day since all-star voting has happened. So I'm going to do it live here on stream for you guys. My Western Conference all-star starters. I'm just going to be very basic here. I can't lie. It is Luka. It is Shea. It would be Jokic if Jokic does play. It would be, I think I would have Anthony Edwards as one of my starters. He's been too good. The Timberwolves are too good of a team to not have him there. After them, though, it's kind of hard to find a guy. I would probably have to put Wemby as my starting five there. That would probably be my starting five in the Western Conference for the All-Star game at the moment. But I wouldn't be mad if you put a guy like Steph Curry in there, Alperen Sengun. There's a couple other names, but I think these are my top 5 names. Almost in the NBA, which is funny to say. Almost the top 5 players in the entire NBA. But if we head over to the Eastern Conference here, you have to go Tyrese Maxey as a starting guard. He's averaging 31 points per game. He's been too good. You have to put Jaylen Brown in there as a forward. He's been too good for that Boston Celtics team. He's just been too good. Giannis, in my opinion, has to be in there. Cade has to be in there for leading that team to the number 1 seed. And I am going to show some love to none other than Atlanta Hawks forward Jalen Johnson as my next pick. So my Eastern Conference picks are going to be Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Johnson. That's going to round out my all-star voting for the first all-star voting for me in 2026.